Holden made a call that shook the Aussie auto world. They teamed up with Nissan. And the result? The VL Commodore with the RB30 E3 litre straight 6 under the bonnet. This wasn't just a band-aid fix, it was a rebirth. 33% more power, better fuel economy, and a scream that would become legend. It looked the part too. A sleek front end, narrow headlights, and that now iconic tail spoiler. And if you were lucky enough to score the Calais, you got retractable headlight covers. Holden was flexing. Hard. This was more than a car, this was the spark that lit the fire. Welcome to the VL Commodore. The VL Commodore wasn't just a pretty face or a street sleeper, it was a born racer. And no one brought that to life more than Peter Brock and the Holden dealer team. This was the golden era. Group A touring cars, real rear-wheel muscle and rivalry so fierce, it tore brands apart. Under Brock's command, the HDT dropped the hammer on the VL SS Group A, a homologation special with a snarling 4.9-litre V8. It wasn't just fast, it was angry. This car lit up the 1986 Australian Touring Car Championship and took the fight to Europe, holding its own on tracks that had never seen Aussie steel. But here's where it gets wild. Brock believed in a mysterious black box called the Energy Polarizer, a device filled with crystals that supposedly aligned the car's molecules for better performance. Holden wasn't buying it. Tensions boiled over. The partnership collapsed. Brock was out. Just like that. From the ashes rose a new beast, Holden's Special Vehicles. Partnering with British racing mogul Tom Walkinshaw, HSV was born with one mission: dominate. And it started with a brutal, aero-kitted VL Group A SV. Bigger flares, bigger attitude, built to win. What began as engineering brilliance became a civil war. Brock versus Walkinshaw, HDT versus HSV, and the battleground, the VL Commodore. Let's be real. When you say VL Commodore, most people picture a boosted street weapon or a wide-bodied Walkinshaw. But the VL lineup was way deeper than that. So buckle up, because we're breaking down every single VL model Holden ever released, from budget spec to homologation hero. It all starts with the SL, your no-frills get you there base model, sedan or wagon, minimal features, steel wheels, and a no-nonsense attitude. Then came the Executive, the classic Aussie workhorse. Slightly nicer trim, power options here and there, and just enough comfort to make the daily drive tolerable. Want something fancier? The Berliner stepped it up with plush interiors, chrome touches, and that classic I've made it 80s vibe. And then the king of comfort, the Calais. This was Holden flexing hard. Semi-retractable headlight covers, digital dash, luxury trim. It was Aussie prestige on wheel. And here's a deep cut for the VL nerds, the Calais wagon. Only Might Eat ever made an 8.8. Built to burn through leftover wagon bodies with Calais class, rare as hen's teeth. Then came the Series 200, a bicentenary edition to celebrate 200 years of Australia. Special paint, badges, and a little more flair. Just enough to make it collectible today. Now let's talk engines. You had the RB20 E2.0 L6 for export markets. The local favourite, the RB30E, a 3.0L Nissan-built straight 6 pushing 114 kilo. Add a turbo and you got the RB30 ET, 150 kilos from factory, but tunable to the moon. Then came the Special Ops Division, HDT. Brocky's Mob delivered the Calais LE, Group A Plus pack, the polarising director, and sleek Aero and Corsa models, all built to perform, all dripping in 80s attitude. HDT even did bespoke orders. Wild colours, tuned motors, and custom trim. Your VL, your way. After the Brock breakup, Holden joined forces with Tom Walkinshaw. Boom! HSV was born. Their first hit, the iconic VL SS Group A SV, aka the Walkinshaw. Big wing, big attitude, 180 kW of injected V8 Fury. Then the SV88, a plush performer with 136 kWs and Calais luxury. And the mods, endless. RB30 Dits, hybrids, and V8 swaps, wide-body kits, restored sleepers, or full-blown drag monsters. VLs became the ultimate Aussie canvas, and to this day, they're still turning heads. This isn't just a car. It's a cult. A catalogue of performance, prestige, and pure Holden muscle. So, Peter Brock was out, HDT was history, and Holden had a decision to make. Cue Tom Walkinshaw, the Scottish motorsport mastermind behind Jaguar's Le Mans dominance, steps in. And just like that, Holden Special Vehicles was born. HSV wasn't here to play it safe. Their debut weapon, the VL Commodore SS Group A SV, but everyone knows it by one name, the Walkinshaw. Now let's talk looks. This thing didn't roll off the line, it broke out of Area 51. In the aftermath, Holden needed a new performance arm, fast. Enter Tom Walkinshaw, a man on a mission. Holden Special Vehicles was born, and the VL Group ASV would be its first creation. The mission? Homologate a beast for Group A racing and dominate Mount Panorama. Let's talk about the styling, because the Walkinshaw is one of the most visually controversial cars Holden ever made. Built with function over a form, its boxy blistered aero kit was developed in a wind tunnel in the UK. The side skirts, split-level rear wing, bonnet bulge, and wide body kit weren't just cosmetic, they were engineered for real downforce at Bathurst speeds. At the time, Aussie car fans either loved it or hated it. It looked like a spaceship compared to the clean lines of the regular VL. But now, it's an icon. The wild design is exactly what gives it presence, and why it stands tall among global homologation specials from the era. Under the bonnet, no Turbo 6 here, this was pure V8 thunder. The Walkie packed a 5.0L fuel-injected Holden V8, built to rev and built to last. It produced 180 kilowatts, 241 HP, a serious figure for the time, HSV blueprinted and balanced each motor, fitted high-flow heads and tuned them for racing duty. They even reworked the crankshaft, valve train and EFI system to withstand serious abuse on track. The result? A smooth, angry, rev-happy V8 that gave Ford Sierras and BMW M3s something to worry about. Inside, it was very much a VL, but dressed up. Think velour sports seats, HSV badging, and some subtle tweaks to remind you this wasn't just a Calais. But no wild luxury here. This car was built to qualify for Group A, not to cosset executives. That said, it was still one of the more comfortable homologation specials globally. Now to the mountain. The Walkinshaw's legacy was cemented at the 1990 Bathurst 1000, when Wyn Percy and Alan Grice piloted the car to an unforgettable victory. It wasn't just a win, it was a resurrection for Holden, a sign that HSV was the real deal and that Tom Walkinshaw knew exactly what he was doing. That win helped launch HSV into the mainstream and solidified the VL Walkinshaw as a proper race-bred street weapon. Just 750 units were ever built, a requirement for Group A homologation. That limited number, paired with its motorsport success and iconic design, has made the Walkinshaw one of the most sought-after Australian performance cars ever. These days, you'll need deep pockets. Expect to drop six figures for a clean, matching numbers example, and even more if it's got Bathurst heritage or rare delivery options. Here's the twist. Despite their value, some Walkinshaws have been resto-modded, upgraded suspension, modern fuel management, brake conversions, even LS swaps. The Walkinshaw wasn't just Holden's return to race-winning form, it was proof that even after the Brock era, Holden could innovate. It was raw, it was loud, and it looked like nothing else on the road. It was the last of the VLs, the final form, the transition point from Brock's HDT to Walkinshaw's HSV, a line in the sand for Australian muscle. The VL Walkinshaw didn't just race into history, or it crashed through it like a V8 sledgehammer. Drag strips, street runs, late-night meets, the VL Turbo became the car to beat. Affordable, fast, and surprisingly reliable. But here's the kicker. Back then, they were just used cars. Nobody knew they'd become legendary. You could pick up an ex-cop VL BT1 Turbo, complete with FE2 suspension, LSD, and extra cooling for pocket change. These became the holy grail for modifiers. Strip 'em, cage 'em, run 10s on radials. The VL wasn't just a platform, it was a movement. And today, good luck finding one cheap. Clean VL turbos fetch ridiculous money. The street scene, the drag scene, the drift scene, they all claim a piece of the VL's legacy. It's wild to think a car born from emissions rules, a Nissan partnership, and a corporate bust-up became one of Australia's most iconic street machines. This is the story of the VL, from Bathurst glory to burnout pad royalty, and it's far from over. So you've got your VL Commodore. It's Aussie built, but deep down, it's got some Japanese soul. And that soul comes straight from the Nissan Skyline. Let's talk about one of the wildest cross-cultural love children in automotive history. Under the bonnet of every naturally aspirated and turbocharged Volt, at least the smart ones, you'll find the RB30E. That's a single overhead cam, 3.0 litre, straight six, pulled from Nissan's parts bins, built in Japan, tuned in Melbourne, tough as nails. But here's where it gets juicy. In Japan, Nissan was busy experimenting with twin-cam turbo engines. Enter the RB25, RB26 and the RB30 hybrid. Aussie car nuts caught wind, and the VL with its big engine bay and RWD layout became the perfect Frankenstein host. You take the Aussie-delivered RB30 bottom end, bolt on a twin-cam RB25 or RB26 head, slap on a fat turbo, boom, you've built a weapon that screams like a Skyline but shreds like a Commodore. These RB30 Diat hybrids became legends in the street scene. They revved harder, boosted faster, and were way more tunable than most people realised. It was Australia's homegrown answer to the R31 and even R32 Skylines, only louder, lower, and with way more mullets involved. And the best part? The VL came with attitude. No high-tech wizardry, no AWD, just raw power to the rear wheels and a chassis light enough to slide with ease. It became a drift scene favourite, a drag strip monster. Today, VLs with RB swaps are selling for eye-watering money. What used to be a backyard build is now a collector's dream. But real ones know. This car's true magic was always about passion, not polish. Skyline blood, Commodore bones, turbo heart. The VL didn't just borrow from Japan, it built something Japan never could. Some cars fade away after their production run ends. Others, they explode. The VL Commodore didn't just survive after Holden shut down the line, it thrived. What made it so special? It was lightning in a bottle, a perfectly timed mashup of Japanese brains and Aussie brawn. You had Nissan's RB30E, a silky 3.0L straight 6, purpose-built for reliability but born to be turbocharged. Then you wrapped it in Holden's sharp, aggressive Aussie sheet metal. That combo, it hit like a right hook from Merv Hughes. In 1986, the VL became a cult hero in street racing, drag strips and car parks around the country. Midnight highway pulls, burnout comps, skid pans. If there was rubber to be laid, the VL was there. And today, VLs are still the go-to build for a generation of enthusiasts. You've got VLs pushing over 1,000 horsepower, running E85, fully forged internals, billet turbos and screaming to red lines Skyline drivers would envy. There are VLs that could gap supercars and still pull up at Bunnings on a Sunday. But the VL isn't just about numbers, it's about attitude. It's a time capsule of Aussie ingenuity, JDM influence, and raw backyard grit. It's about young blokes in fibro garages, swapping turbos and hacking ECUs. It's about second chances, taking a once cheap car and building something legendary. It's also a survivor. The VL Commodore held the fort during a rocky era for Holden. It carried them through regulation changes, industry turbulence, and set the stage for the VN to follow. Without the VL's success, Holden's story might have ended very differently. Today, it's a collectible, a rolling piece of Aussie car culture. You'll see it at summer nats, at cars and coffee, or on a dyno screaming past 4-digit power figures, and people still stop, smile, and nod. The VL wasn't just built, it was adopted. And for many of us, it's not just a car, it's the heart of Australian street culture. Owning a VL Commodore in 2025, it's not just a flex, it's a full-time commitment, a badge of honour, and for some, a financial gamble that's actually paid off. Let's get one thing clear. These aren't backyard bombers anymore. The VL market has exploded. What was once a $2,500 paddock basher is now commanding $50,000 just for a clean turbo shell. Got a genuine BT1X cop car? Add another 20 grand. And if you're sitting on a legit Walkinshaw, congrats, and you're in six-figure territory. Easy. But here's the catch. The VL isn't for the lazy collector. These things need love. Parts are drying up. Original trims, plastics, tail lights, Calais digital dashes were all either rare, reproed, or extinct. Even door seals are being hunted down like rare Pokemon. That said, there's never been a better time to build one. The aftermarket is thriving. Forged RB internals, off-the-shelf, plug-and-play ECUs, everywhere. Need a billet block to chase 4-digit power? No worries, mate. And don't even get me started on the resto mod scene. Modern interiors, touchscreen retrofits, air suspension, Bluetooth Calais dashes, it's all happening. And let's not forget the culture. Owning a VL today means you're joining a community. You're part of the Summernats tribe, the nostalgia drag scene, the next-gen tuners who've ditched WRXs for walkies. You'll cop the odd "that's a hoon car" stare, but also respect from the real ones who know what these machines mean. They represent an era, not just in Aussie motoring, but in Aussie identity. A time when you could wrench with your mates, make 400 horsepower on the cheap, and cruise Chapel Street like you were in Fast and Furious Aussie edition. In 2025, the VL is one of the few cars that connects every corner of car culture. JDM heads respect the RB. Muscle car fans love the V8 options. Collectors want rarity. Builders want potential. And every teenager who's grown up seeing VLs sideways on YouTube, they want in. But here's the truth. Not everyone gets it. The VL isn't for everyone. It's for the passionate, the persistent, the slightly mad, and the properly obsessed. Because in the end, the VL Commodore isn't just a car you own. It's a car that owns a piece of you.